Hey everybody, this is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we've got a little bit of an old school style review video. Today we're driving a 2022 Kia Seltos Turbo All-Wheel Drive Nightfall Edition. So we're out here in Palm Springs, California, and Kia was gracious enough to give us this car to drive for a couple of days. So I thought while we had it, let's go ahead and take it for a drive, review it, and well, I'll give you my thoughts on what it's been like to live with this thing for the past couple days. This is the SUV that slots between, well, what would it be? The Soul and the Sportage. So if the Soul is a little bit too small, the Sportage is a little bit too big, you get the Seltos. And you know what? I saw a bunch of these cars on the road before I actually knew what they were, before I was a YouTuber, I guess. And I always quite liked how they looked. I never really knew what they were. This was one of those cars that kind of came out and jump-started Kia's new image, their new design language. And I've always kind of really liked how these look. I drove it all the way from LAX to Palm Springs here yesterday, and it did a pretty good job. It's comfortable. It's, you know, it's a car. It's about 29 grand for this Nightfall Edition Kia Seltos. All the Nightfall really means is you get a black appearance package. You can see a decent amount of room back here. We'll go ahead and fold the seats down. And you get a pretty dang flat load surface there. It goes up a little bit, but there's a pretty good amount of room in the back of this little SUV. Also got, ignore my Chick-fil-A, we've also got a spare tire under here. So that's pretty cool. I don't see that too often anymore. No power opening and closing hatch, but for the size, the segment of this SUV, I wouldn't expect there to be one. Oh. Go ahead and sit in the back here. Again, not too much going on back here, but I do have plenty of room. Sat behind myself here at 5'11". I've got a good amount of legroom and headroom. No sunroof or anything, but we do have a couple of reading lights that appear to be LED. We've got an armrest with some cup holders. And the overall quality of these seats feels pretty good as well. We've got a cloth and leather split, cloth in the middle and leather on the outsides. We've got some vents back here. That's always good to see. No separate climate control unit. We do have a USB port down there as well. Here's a look at the dashboard in the front of the car. Pretty neat. We've actually got some blue there on our dashboard. Charlie and I always give praise to manufacturers that give color in the interiors of their cars, especially on the dashboard. Just adding that separate dimension to the dashboard really goes a long way, and this Seltos is no exception. I really like the way that the whole dashboard and driver's compartment looks in this car. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Pretty standard 10.25-inch infotainment display here. We see this in a lot of Kias and Hyundais. Separate climate control panel down here as well. We've got an armrest, which is nice. Here is our window sticker, since all of you hate when I call it a Monroney. 2022 Seltos Nightfall Turbo All-Wheel Drive. We've got a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in this, and that's mated to a 7-speed DCT. And we'll get into how that DCT drives a little bit more once we're on the road. 195 foot-pounds of torque, and you all will have seen the horsepower number already with my graphic. But as far as options go, we have the white with the black roof. That's a $345 option. Floor mats, $130 option. And then the carpeted cargo mat, which you all saw back there, is $115. Retail price with destination, everything, $28,455. So, not too bad. Quite a good chunk under 30 grand. And yeah, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, of course, because this is an Kia. I don't have a cord plugged in right now, but we do, of course, have Apple CarPlay and all of the normal stuff that you'd see in a Kia infotainment. It works quite well. Reaction times are pretty good. And we got one of these, a mechanical handbrake, so that's pretty cool. Let's see here, reversing camera, swivels with the steering wheel. No 360 camera, but that's okay. Don't really expect that for your money here under 30 grand. All right, let's get this on the road. it's decently quick, you know. I wouldn't say that it's best in class for power, but it has enough to be adequate to where you can merge on the highway and not have to be scared for your life. I would certainly say so. So let's talk a little bit about this 7-speed DCT. I've always thought it's kind of weird when manufacturers put DCTs in cars that aren't performance oriented, and Kia's been doing this quite a bit. I drove the Kia Sorento X-Line, and that had a dual clutch automatic transmission, and had a couple of odd shifts, a couple of weird shuddery moments, and unfortunately I've had the same kind of behavior with this 7-speed DCT in this car. Most of the time it's good, I'll be honest. I can't tell that it's a DCT, but I was stuck in some LA traffic yesterday morning on my way here from the airport, and it was a little bit shuddery. You know, there were a couple of moments where I felt like I was in the car with someone that was learning stick. I don't know if I don't think it was that bad, but there were definitely some moments where you could tell it was a DCT. And I think Kia's been having some issues with their DCT lately as well, so just kind of a little bit of a head scratcher for why they go with this. I believe it's for efficiency, because transmissions with clutches are more efficient than transmissions with torque converters, so a lot of companies go for these DCTs now in their non-performance cars. I love a good DCT in something like a Golf GTI, or you know, some other performance car, the Kona N, Veloster N, all of those cars. Otherwise though, I could take it or leave it. But just driving around, you know, everything seems to be pretty good, pretty smooth. We've got 3 drive modes: normal, smart, and sport. Sport mode seems to just put a more aggressive map on the transmission, makes it kick down a little bit easier. You've got an option to manually shift over here on the left-hand side. That reacts pretty nicely. No paddle shifters on this steering wheel, but it is leather wrapped, so that feels quite nice actually. It's a very skinny steering wheel. Can fit my hands around it quite easily. Let's talk here about the gauge cluster while we're stopped at a red light. 2 regular analog gauges on the left and the right for a tach and a speedo. In the middle here we have a very small digital screen, but we are able to control it with our arrows here on the right. You can see we have a transmission temperature gauge, our drive mode, our digital speedometer. We have a trip computer, another trip computer, and we also have average fuel economy there. I like to leave it on the digital speedometer so you can see how fast I'm going easily. But yeah, I mean, the ride quality is pretty good. I have to remember that, you know, this is a $28,000 car, and you know, I'm not gonna get on it for having a little bit of road noise, a little bit of wind noise. The ride quality is pretty good, honestly. I like the steering feel in here, and it's a very easy car to adapt to, is what I should say. Someone could get out of a 2001 Ford Focus that they've been driving their entire life, treat themselves to a Kia Seltos, they'd get in here and they'd probably know how to use everything right away. This is one of those cars that's super approachable. There's nothing weird or confusing in here. Everything works just as you think it would, and that's important for cars in this class, because there's a level where technology is just, I almost feel like it isn't worth it. You know, you get in some of these cars and they're just so techy that even I, as a 24-year-old, am like, I'm overwhelmed in here. So this car is a nice balance between, you know, of course it has some technology. I really like this infotainment system that Hyundai and Kia gives. But honestly, like, you don't need so many things in a car like this, and this car I feel like gives a pretty good amount. Now, I don't know much about semis, but I feel like they're probably not supposed to sound like that when they're braking. You can see we do have in-house navigation here on this Kia Seltos. We can access the map as well just by pressing map. Pretty good display there. Of course, now everybody just uses Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but it's nice to sometimes have an in-house navigation if you have a dead phone or if your phone decides it doesn't want to work or whatever. What do you think that means? Just spilled or just spoiled, perhaps? Just spoiled? I'm going to put that on my Instagram story and see if anyone can decode it. I think it's just spoiled. Anyways. What else? You know, materials in here, while I said I do like the color contrast, the materials aren't the best, but I mean, what do you expect? I would maybe like to see a slightly higher quality plastic on the top of the dash and on the top of the door panels, but that's just really me being petty. I like this material, even though it's also a little bit scratchy. I don't mind the way that it looks. Climate control vents, good. We have a brightness controller over here for our cluster. That's a good thing as well. I like when that is easily accessible. And of course, being that this is a Kia, we have a ton of good highway driving assist features. We've got lane keep assist, which you turn on over here on the left, and we have steering assist, which you turn on the steering wheel. We don't have adaptive cruise control in this particular Seltos. We just have regular cruise control. But once this lane keep assist activates, you can see this car will steer itself. What I like about Kias is that you don't have to have cruise control activated for the steering assist and lane keep assist to work. On a lot of cars, you have to be using cruise control, and you just don't on Kias. You can see it'll go around this corner for me. Also let you go quite a while without yelling at you. Nice old Mercedes wagon. Oh, they're the original owners. No, I shouldn't. I should try and purchase that, but might not be the smartest thing. So, yeah, I mean, the Kia Seltos is pretty much exactly what I expected. It's a good little car. I mean, I haven't really sat in driven a Kia that I haven't liked in a long time. Honestly, it's a fun little thing to hustle around as well. Ooh, that's a 968 up there. One of my favorite things about coming to California is all of the car spotting that I get to do. And not only things like that Porsche 968, but also like early 2000s and late 90s Ford products that aren't just rusted to bits like they are in Michigan. I always like seeing that stuff as well. Auto start stop, but you are able to deactivate it over here on the left-hand side. Do you see what I'm saying about how everything is just so easy and straightforward? Like, this is a car that could just be used by absolutely anybody. I would be pretty content with having one of these as a daily driver, honestly. Something hysterical that I should have filmed on my GoPro, but I didn't, is I'm staying at the Ritz Carlton right now here in Palm Springs, and they don't let you park your own car. You have to valet your cars. You pull up, you hand them the keys, and then it disappears. So I walked out, you know, half an hour ago to grab the keys to this so I could come out and film it, and they said, "Oh no, sir, your car is right out front." And I swear to God, I'm not lying, I promise you, there was a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a BMW X7, 2 Teslas, some other BMW, and my Kia Seltos were the cars that were parked out front of the Ritz Carlton. Obviously, they have really high standards here at the Ritz Carlton. For all of the cars that they have valeted out front, we've got a Cullinan, we've got an X7, another BMW, a Tesla, a Mercedes, another Tesla, and my Kia Seltos made the cut. So, yeah, really shows the level that Kia has made it to as far as luxury goes. So, you know, obviously they know that this is a Kia, but it wasn't. I mean, it looks nice enough to be valeted right out front of the Ritz Carlton. So, I mean, I feel like that tells you all you need to know about the design language. And I think this car deserves it. Really, I do. I've been quite pleased with this car over the past couple of days. And I think that I would certainly recommend it. I mean, there's nothing about this car that I don't like. It's a fine little machine. It's honest, it looks good, it's cheap, it's practical, I've got plenty of room in the back, it's fun to drive, it's easy to drive, it's just so approachable, and yeah, what else would you expect from a Kia of this size? All right, guys. Well, that's actually going to wrap up our review here on the Kia Seltos. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you look into a Kia Seltos if you're considering it. I mean, it's just a good little thing. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll be back to our normal review format with Charlie in the passenger seat, turning each other's heated seats on and so on very soon. But thanks for hanging out with me today here in the Kia Seltos, and we'll see you guys real soon in the next video. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.
Mm-hmm.